our SCB TV Channel 15 election special. For the next half hour, we're going to discuss two races on the November 7th ballot that a lot of Henry Countyans probably have not paid a lot of attention to. Of course, we all know that state representatives and state senators and congressmen and county commissioners are going to be elected, but there are two races for Superior Court judge. And one of those is Judge Hal Craig, who is stepping down after more than 20 years on the bench. There are 6 candidates vying for his seat: Brian Amer, Steve Harrison, Mary House, Darrell Hobson, Arthur Manigault, and Nicole Reynolds. Judge Wade Crumley, who was appointed to the bench just a year ago, is now running for the first time for his seat, and he's opposed by Donnie Patton. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to give you an extra look at these candidates and let them tell you in their own words who they are and why they feel as though you, the voter, should put them on the bench in 2007. There are 6 candidates vying for the seat of Judge Hal Craig, who is retiring at the end of this year, and we're going to show them to you alphabetically as they are on the ballot. The first one is Brian Amer. Brian, thank you for coming. We're glad to have you.
Happy to be here, Monroe.
Tell us a little bit about your background legally and how you got to Henry County.
Well, I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in political science and international relations. I also have a master's degree in political science that I obtained from Sir Wilfrid Laurier University. I also have a law degree from the University of South Carolina School of Law, which I received in 1994. I then came to Atlanta following my wife, who took a job with Bell South, and I was fortunate enough to be hired by Bob Keller, a longtime district attorney in Clayton County, as an assistant district attorney. And in that capacity, I prosecuted hundreds and hundreds of criminal cases in Superior Court, everything from murder and rape and aggravated child molestation and armed robbery and drug offenses to theft cases. Mm-hmm. And that's important experience because you represent the state and people of Georgia. You're charged with doing the right thing, and I found that to be a very gratifying work. In addition to that, I have 8 years of civil litigation experience, having represented UPS and Bell South and other major corporations throughout the state of Georgia. I have represented them in state and superior courts, from the north part of the state up to south, all over the place. I've also represented them in federal court. During the last couple of years, I've represented the Henry Medical Center and Bennett International Group and a variety of other prominent local businesses while working at Meadows and Macy. And that is really a good quality civil litigation experience. It prepares me to handle any kind of civil matter that goes before a Superior Court judge. And I think the combination of my criminal background, my criminal prosecutorial experience, which is recognized as important by the Fraternal Order of Police that endorses me, and my civil litigation experience uniquely qualifies me for this position.
You briefly mentioned your wife. Tell me a little bit about the rest of your family.
Well, my wife, Carolina, and I moved here to Henry County 10 years ago, and we have 2 children, Brooke and Jesse. Jesse's 10 and Brooke's 7, and they go to Hickory Flat Elementary School. And honestly, my civil experience is important to me and important to the job, but I'm in this race because I'm concerned about the safety and security of this community. I have 2 children. We're here for the long haul, and I really want to make a difference in this community, and I think this is the best way for me to do it.
Brian Amer, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
The next of our 6 candidates who are vying for the seat being vacated by the retiring Judge Hal Craig is Steve Harrison. Steve, thank you for being here. We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to Henry County, a little bit about your legal experience, and anything else you might like to tell us.
Thank you for having me. I have deep roots in Henry County. My family has lived in Henry County for a long time. My wife, Jeannie, and I have raised 2 children who graduated from Henry County High School. I have had my office here in Henry County practicing law in all of the areas that will come before a Superior Court judge. I've served my community by working on 2 projects, both raising money for Henry County infrastructure and for Henry County schools. I also have served as chairman of the Henry County Library Board.
Tell us how your range of experience you feel sets you apart from the field as far as the 6 candidates for this seat, and why you should be put on the bench in 2007.
Experience matters. I have the most experience of any of the candidates who are running for Judge Hal Craig's seat. I have spent my entire legal career in courtrooms throughout the state. I also have experience as a trial judge, actually trying cases in other courts in Henry County. My experiences range from representation of Henry County as county attorney for the Board of Commissioners. I represented all constitutional officers. I also have experience in handling divorce cases, having represented thousands of individuals in divorce cases, as well as other civil matters that will come before the Superior Court. My experience is much broader than the other candidates.
Obviously, you have many, many years of legal experience, as you just pointed out. What made you decide to make the law your life's profession?
My father was an administrative law judge for the federal government. I sat at the table many times and listened to him talk about the cases that he decided, listening to both sides, and how the lawyers that came before him presented their cases. That led me to a legal career.
Steve Harrison, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck to you. The next of our 6 candidates who are vying to replace retiring Judge Hal Craig is Darrell Hobson. Thank you for being here. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
My wife and I moved to Henry County a little over 20 years ago. We raised our 4 children here, and we have 4 grandchildren that live here in Henry County. I was licensed to practice law in 1976 and have been in the private practice of law since that time, practicing all the major areas handled by the Superior Court.
So you have 3 decades of experience in the law. How do you feel specifically that your experience translates into the position you're running for, and why do you feel you stand out amongst your 5 opponents?
The Superior Court hears 3 major categories of cases. 41% of the cases that are heard are family law cases. 21% of the cases are criminal cases, and 38% of the cases are general civil litigation. Like you said, I have almost 3 decades of experience in all these areas of the law. I'm the only conservative candidate that has that type of experience and can bring that type of experience to the bench. There will be no on-the-job training. I also have been active in my community and my church. I have taught elementary and high school Sunday school classes. I've been a junior high and senior high youth leader, and have taught adult Bible studies. I'm a former member of the board of directors of the Henry County Pregnancy Crisis Center, and have been a staunch supporter of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I've run my theme this year on 3 items, that being experience, integrity, and wisdom. The experience I've gained over the 56 years of life and the decades of practicing law. The integrity I was taught by my parents. The wisdom, I pray each morning that God will give me the wisdom to handle the tasks that He places in front of me, and God has been good. My wife Lucy and I are asking the voters of Henry County to keep us in their prayers and to vote for us on November the 7th.
Darrell Hobson, thank you for being with us. The next of our 6 candidates who are hoping to succeed Judge Hal Craig is Mary House. And first, just a second of disclosure, Mary House formerly was a regular panelist on one of the programs on this station, and she stepped down from that to run for this seat, among other things. So we wanted to make that clear, that this is no longer a regular forum for her, and she's one of the 6 candidates for the seat who is on this program. Mary, thank you for being here. We're glad to have you.
Thank you for having me, Monroe.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to Henry County and some of your legal experience.
All right. Well, thank you. I graduated from Amer University in 1983, and then Monroe, I went on to Mercer University School of Law, graduating from there in 1987. I've been practicing law for 19, going on 20 years. I did a 10-year stint in Atlanta with an Atlanta law firm, and I served 1 year with the Georgia Department of Education as their in-house counsel. In 1998, my husband and I and our 2 sons moved to Henry County to live, work, and raise our children. And since then, I've been practicing in Stockbridge, Georgia. I've also, Monroe, been very active here in the Henry County community. I serve on the board of directors of several organizations, including Haven House, which is the battered women's and children's shelter, Prevent Child Abuse, Henry County, and Leadership Henry. So I definitely believe in giving back to the community.
How does all of that varied and extensive experience, do you believe, translate into why the voters should look to you to go to the bench in 2007?
Well, Monroe, it's put me in touch with a lot of the things going on here in the county, which I think is important. Also, and I'll tell you, Monroe, my practice in the 19, almost 20 years I've been in the legal field, I've represented companies and individuals in courts throughout the state, and I've seen some things that I don't want to see repeated here in Henry County. I believe very firmly that judges are not to legislate from the bench, that they are to apply the laws as they're written. There's extensive laws, and it's up to the trial judge to find those laws and apply them. I'll tell you, it's very seldom, Monroe, that you actually have a case of first impression in your practice. I also believe very firmly that the laws are meant to apply to all of us equally, and unfortunately that doesn't always happen, but that is what should happen and what I think is important to happen here in Henry County.
Mary House, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good to have you. Our next guest and the next candidate on the ballot to succeed Judge Hal Craig is Arthur Manigault. Thank you for coming, sir. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your background and in the law and in this area.
Sure thing. Well, I'm running for Henry County Superior Court Judge. I've been a practicing attorney here in Atlanta primarily for 15 years. I work with the U.S. Department of Education, Office for Civil Rights. And that's an agency that enforces 6 federal civil rights statutes in educational institutions in the Southeast. And currently I'm serving in the capacity of acting chief regional attorney. I have approximately 18 attorneys that are on staff there that I supervise, along with 40 investigators. And those, the work that we do there for that agency is, as I say, is to prohibit discrimination in educational institutions in the Southeast. And those states are the 4 states that are tangential to the state of Georgia. I also work with the Governor's Office of Consumer Affairs as an arbitrator. That office is in charge with enforcing the Georgia Automobile Warranty Rights Act, meaning that if anyone feels that they purchased a vehicle in the state of Georgia that is brand new and it has certain defects that they feel that the manufacturer ought to fix and is responsible for, I sit on a panel with 3 other arbitrators to hear those concerns on behalf of the citizens of Georgia to provide them relief.
That's a wide-ranging experience on a regional basis and a lot of issues that a lot of folks probably don't see day to day. What do you feel like are your qualifications for this race? It's a crowded race. What do you think sets you above the folks who are running for this seat here in Henry County for a local Superior Court?
I'm the only candidate that's currently running that is a public servant. And I've been doing this particular work, as I mentioned, with the U.S. Department of Education for 15 years. Previously to this employment with the U.S. Department of Education, I was an Assistant Attorney General of the state of Ohio. So as an Assistant Attorney General, I worked always on behalf of the citizens that was within our jurisdiction. And so totaling it all up, it's approximately 17 years of public service, and no other candidate serves in such a capacity. And so my heart and passion has always been serving the public, the interests of the public, and making sure that all persons and citizens are provided equal justice under the law.
Obviously, you worked here and in other states and other places. What do you like about living in Henry County?
I like Henry County because of the people. The area is a very nice community. I've lived here for 13 years with my wife Tammy, and we've been married for 5 years, and just the beautiful people in Henry County. Great county to live in.
Arthur Manigault, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. We brought the candidates to you during this program alphabetically as they are listed on the ballot. The 6th and final candidate for the seat being vacated by retiring Judge Hal Craig is Nicole Reynolds. Nicole, thank you for coming. We're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about your background, your history here in Henry County and in the legal profession.
Sure, Monroe. I'm a Christian, I'm a wife, I'm a mother. Currently, I'm a magistrate court judge for Henry County. I own my own law firm, which I've had for the last 5 years, and I practice mostly in family law, so that's divorce, child custody, and child support. I'm a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law. I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college, and I've been in the workforce for about 20 years. And as far as community activities go, I've been president of the Bar Association here in Henry County. I've also been on the board of the Battered Women's Shelter and have helped with the truancy abatement program, helping keep our children in schools.
Aside from the things that you have just mentioned, what are some areas that you feel like the voters should especially take into account as to why you're more qualified than your 5 opponents to win election of this seat?
Monroe, I've spent my career as a child advocate, protecting families and children in Henry County. And as the next Superior Court judge, I'll continue to fight to make Henry County a safe place to live and work and go to school.
At what point in your life did you decide to make the law your life's profession?
You know, Monroe, I started working when I was 13 years old and was working full-time by the time I was about 15. And one of the many jobs I had when I was putting myself through college was working for a law firm. And the attorney I worked for, Bill Witcher, was such a good man, and his clients loved him. And it became clear to me that the law was a public service profession. And that's why I chose to go into the law, because I have a heart for public service and because I feel like serving the community is where I need to spend my life.
Nicole Reynolds, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Monroe.
As we said in the introduction, this program we're going to cover 2 separate races for 2 Superior Court seats. And this race we're talking about now is a 2-person race, and the gentleman we have now is the incumbent. He's the only incumbent in either of these races. He's Judge Wade Crumley. Judge, thank you for being here. We're glad to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your experience, your background here in Henry County, and a little bit about your legal experience.
Well, I was born and raised here. My family has been here for over 180 years. I attended the public schools here. When I finished law school at the University of Georgia, I came back home to practice law. And I practiced law in this community for 27 years before Governor Perdue appointed me judge of the Superior Court last year.
Okay, and that's something we're glad you pointed out. You have been on the bench for a year. This will be your first election by the people, but tell us a little bit about, obviously you have a year under your belt on the bench. Tell us a little bit about why you feel like your overall experience makes you the best person in this particular race.
Well, my law practice consisted almost entirely of courtroom work in the Superior Courts. And I was lead counsel in Superior Courts in something like 30 different Georgia counties during my career as a lawyer. That is where all of my experience was gained. I think during the 27 years I was practicing law, I gained the respect of both the bar and the business community. I was nominated for a seat on the Georgia Court of Appeals in 1999. I was twice appointed to the disciplinary board of the State Bar of Georgia by the State Supreme Court. And I think my qualifications are superior for this particular job as Superior Court judge, because it was the kind of work that I did for many, many years.
Now, you became a Superior Court judge because Governor Perdue appointed you a year ago, as you pointed out.
That's right.
Tell us about that process and why you got involved in it.
Well, Monroe, I asked the governor to appoint me to this job because I love this community. It's my home. I hope it will remain home for my children and their children. And I want to do everything I can to keep this a safe and great place to live for people in the future. I feel like I have something to offer, something to bring to this job, and that's the reason I asked him to appoint me.
Judge Wade Crumley, thank you for coming.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Good to have you. The race for Judge Wade Crumley's seat is a 2-person race this fall, and Judge Crumley's opponent is Donnie Patton. We're glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background here locally, and your legal background?
Monroe, I moved to Henry County approximately 20 years ago. Went to law school in Atlanta, and I never moved back home to South Georgia. Attended Woodrow Wilson College of Law, and I moved here in 1991 and began my legal career. I have been a sole practitioner, and I've been in the same office since that time. I've handled all cases ranging from criminal cases, civil cases, domestic cases, change of custody cases, and I've also served as guardian ad litem in both the juvenile court and the superior court for Henry County. I have been the prosecutor for the City of Stockbridge Municipal Court for 11 years, and I currently serve as the city judge of Stockbridge.
Why do you feel like you should be elected to this seat against an incumbent specifically?
Well, the incumbent in this case has never been elected by the people. This is a brand new seat that this legislature funded in 2005. My opponent was appointed for 1 year until the people of Henry County can elect the judge that they choose for the position. I feel I'm most qualified for this position as I have handled all manners of cases which would come before a Superior Court judge. I have all the experience and background necessary, and I feel that I'll be the people's choice for the position.
Aside from specifically being on the bench or in the courtroom practicing law, do you have any other legal-related experience that you feel is relevant to this position?
Sure, Monroe. While attending law school, I worked for the state of Georgia as a correctional officer and as a probation officer, so I have extensive background in the criminal field.
Donnie Patton, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
That concludes our broadcast. If you want to know more about any or all of the candidates you've just seen, we're going to give you one last look at their website addresses during the closing credits. For SCB News, I'm Monroe Roark. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to vote.